Hi, are you a contractor or a builder? Are you frustrated with losing money on your building projects? Do you get to the end and actually there's a bitter pill to taste? You've lost money, you're over-programmed and you just don't know why. Also, to top that all off, the client's not happy. Well, I'm Leo Scarborough, I am the BuildSmith and my company is BuildSmith Solutions, and we help contractors like you with our construction support service. Let's go through the 10 most common problems that you will find on your building project and we will help you resolve them. Let's go.
The client keeps changing their mind. How do I stop the job going off track?
The client keeps changing their mind. How do I stop the project going off track? It's very simple. All you've got to do is make sure that you completely specify everything that you're going to do, even down to the paint colour. Now, if you find yourself halfway through the project and this is happening, there is no harm in stopping, taking a pause, even if it's not a physical pause, just taking time to write everything down that's left to do and specify it correctly. Because it's easier to have a debate on paper about what you're going to complete and if it coincides with the price, rather than getting to the end and losing money.
They're trying to knock me down on price after we agreed a quote. What should I do?
They're trying to knock me down on price after we've agreed the quote. What should I do? It's a difficult one. What I would suggest you do is go back through the correspondence to understand how that quote has come about. So what you need to do is figure out any kind of paperwork and physical correspondence, including WhatsApps, SMS and emails, to understand how that quote's been built up and what they've agreed to. Now, if they are looking to knock you down, there are two ways to play this. There is either wait till the end and argue it, or make a stand now. If you make a stand now, the problem is it could unravel the project. So why don't agree to a kind of a compromise where you say, I don't agree with what you're saying, can we put a pin in it for now, pay me X that you're going to do, and then we'll equate it all at the end. That way you can start to then understand how that final account's going to be brought together. When it gets to the end, or when it gets to further variations, if they've argued on this one particular variation or extra cost, then you know exactly the way to play it the next time. What you need to do is absolutely have it in writing, have a full scope of works as to what that includes, and then go forward on that basis, making sure you're either getting payment up front for that variation or absolute agreement that that variation does stand and they are going to pay it.
The client's on site every day telling me how to do the job. How do I deal with that?
The client's on site every day telling me how to do the job. How do you deal with it? It's a good one. Normally, you'd have your absolute scope in place. So the scope, the contract and your deliverables. So your deliverables are budget and timeline. If the project is on time and you can measure it against your own program, then there is a simple conversation to say, sorry Mr. Client, you're actually going to stop the works here. We're going to get slower if you keep doing this. And then there will be an extra cost in terms of prelims when we overrun. So what I would say is, in a very nice and polite way, use the documents you've already got in place to make sure that you are arguing your point correctly, and use some of the pain points, which is cost and program. They don't want to spend more money, they don't want to spend more time, making sure that you educate them that they are hindering progress and increasing costs rather than helping.
They're late paying me, but I don't want to cause a fallout. How do I chase it?
They're late paying me, but I don't want to cause a fallout. How do I chase it? For me, you should get this bottomed out at the beginning. If you've got a good, proper contract, which is a neutral contract, which makes sure that they are doing what they should be doing, which is paying you on time, and you should be doing what you should be doing, which is delivering the project at the time agreed, then there should be no argument. Now, a good quality contract allows you to have recourse in case this happens. So let's say a JCT contract will allow you to go to adjudication to actually make them pay you if you feel that is necessary. But for those that are halfway through, those that haven't got a contract, there is a very simple conversation to be had. You need to be able to talk to them properly, simply, in a very comfortable manner that says, I'm afraid the knock-on effect for you not paying me is we're going to be delayed, it's going to cost extra time at the end. How can we agree this going forward? And actually at that point, once you've agreed it, put in a payment plan, which means that they will pay you on time after you've done certain things. So it then becomes far more reciprocal.
The job's running late because of them, but they're blaming me. How do I handle it?
The job's running late because of them, but they're blaming me. How do you handle it? Oh, common question. You always need a program. You need to be able to measure where you are in comparison to where you need to be. So for instance, if you are doing a extension, the foundations are going to take this long and it's going to end here. Now, when it comes to kind of the later stages, which is where clients tend to add extras, like, oh, I don't suppose you could do the kitchen now. All of a sudden you've got 3 to 4 weeks worth of work that you hadn't included in your program, and they still want it delivered on time, which is a common problem. You need to be able to program it against what you had originally. So, if you're at the beginning of your project, make sure you get a program and make sure that it helps you. So if you know you can knock out the foundations in 2 weeks, allow 3. If you know you can do the roofing in 2 weeks, allow 3. That way, you've built your self-contingency into the program. Now, if you're watching this and you're halfway through and they're blaming you, then what I would suggest is you do a program now. Pause, maybe not physically, but pause maybe, take some time, take 4 hours out of the day and just sit, or at night, sit and do a program to completion. To absolutely know everything you need to do and also know everything that's outside of your original scope. If you're now fitting a kitchen and it wasn't there, that's a 3-week delay. So actually show where the program would have been, where it is now and why. Take the time to educate them.
They keep asking for extras but don't want to pay more. How do I say no without kicking off?
They keep asking for extras but don't want to pay more. How do I say no without it kicking off? Again, what I would suggest is you take a pause and you understand the situation you're in. If it's an extra bit of skirting and it's 50 quid, then you can take a view as to whether or not you want to give that piece of skirting to them. What I would always do is write a list of items that you are doing extra, and if you wanted to give it to them for free, then you can actually put in your interim invoice or in a letter or in an email, we've done this, 50 quid, this, 100 quid, this, 200 quid, and then say to them, but I'm not going to charge you. And you can kind of caveat however that you want, that you want payment on time, they've been lovely clients, however you want. If you've done a lot of extras and they're saying they're not going to pay you because you had a carpenter there anyway, then again, sad to say, it's kind of some mistakes you've made. You could argue it and say, I've itemised all of this, there's £10,000 worth of extras here, can we do a deal? But ultimately what I'd always say is just keep a track of what you're doing. At the first sign that they are not going to pay for the extras that you believe you should be paid for, then you stop and you say, I'm really sorry, we have done £2,000 worth of extras here. If you're not going to pay for it, I'll have to take that on the chin, but going forward, we'll itemise everything and we'll agree a cost before we do the works.
I've got a bad feeling this job could turn into a dispute. What can I do now to protect myself?
I've got a bad feeling that this job could turn into a dispute. What can I do now to protect myself? If you're watching this and you're at the beginning of the project, then take some advice. Professionals like me will give you advice. Otherwise, just get a contract in place that's neutral, not one that you've made up, a good, proper contract to make sure that all parties are protected, including the client. If you are partway through this and you've got this kind of niggle that there's going to be a dispute, then what I would say is open up communication lines. If you feel it's going south, you will have had some red flags. You will have a gut feeling that it's going to go wrong. Listen to yourself. Understand what the issues are and enter into dialogue. Not emails, not WhatsApps, phone calls, physical meetings. You can do more in a 5-minute phone call than you can do in an evening's worth of WhatsApps. So what I would say is address it as quickly as possible using as much paperwork as possible. If you find that you're at an impasse, then the only way to do this, depending on the contract you've signed, is to get it finished but evidence everything. If you're going to make a phone call, follow it up with an email or an SMS or a WhatsApp or whatever it is. Make sure that you are gathering as much evidence as possible.
We didn't sign anything before starting. What should I do now that things are going wrong?
We didn't sign anything before starting. What do we do now when things are going wrong? I hear this time and time again, and I have to parachute into the middle of a lot of projects. And it's not always the contractor, quite often it's the client. What I would say is you need to gather the evidence, you need to be logical, you need to think about what quote you put in the first place, what scope creep there's been, and actually note it all down. You can write it in a really concise long email, avoid text messages and WhatsApps, but in an email or a letter that can be handwritten or on the computer, but just to be very prescriptive about where you are. If you can set out logically your points of view, then it gives a position of negotiation for the other party. So if you can write down everything that you feel has gone wrong and the dispute is going to happen among these kind of items, then it gives you a logical agenda. If you can't meet them face to face or over the phone, then it gives them a logical agenda to reply to. At which point, you just need to find some common ground. If you feel that there's a dispute over 10 items, it's probably only likely to be 2. Remove those other 8 items and just talk about the 2. And the only way sometimes to do that is being logical, writing it down and seeing what evidence you've got, and then enter into negotiation.
The client brought in another trade without telling me. Now it's chaos. What do I do?
The client brought in another trade without telling me, and now it's chaos. What do I do? This is a difficult one because when a client brings their own supplier in, especially without telling you, then you don't know what their scope of works is. The good thing is that tradespeople on site normally have seen it all before and normally at least want to talk. Depending on the type of client or the type of tradesperson that's been brought in. If it's an electrician, because all of a sudden your electrician's too expensive, for instance, and one day on a Monday the electrician, you turn up and you have different electricians there, then first of all, talk with the electrician. Why are you here? What are you doing? What's your scope? What sort of things do I need to do for you? What sort of things do you need to do for me? This is my program. What's your program? What have you been told? Gather the information and then approach the client. You can't approach the client without the information. It's very easy to kick off and say, your electrician's here, where's my quote, etc, etc. It's very easy to do that. What I would suggest is gather the information first, understand why he's there, and then approach the client and say things like, your electrician's here, I need to manage him, so you might have paid £2,000 less than my electrician, but it's going to take me this and this time to be able to manage him because we don't know him. Where's his risk assessments? Can we demonstrate that he's competent, that he's not going to electrocute one of my operatives? There are so many things that clients sometimes just don't factor in, that you might need to educate them on. And the worst thing that can happen is that you all fall out and that electrician is removed, but at least that way you've educated the client and you can bring your own electrician in. The positive is you might have a really good new supplier that you can use going forward. But my advice is, don't just kick off, gather the information, understand the role, and then educate the client.
I finished the job properly, but they still left me a bad review. How should I respond?
I finished the job properly, but they've still left me a bad review. How do I respond? It's very simple. Kill them with kindness. It's very easy to go down the road of kicking off, sending them messages, asking why they've done it, telling everybody down the pub or on the next building site that they're a poor client. What I would say is kill them with kindness. Number one, understand why they would have said left you a bad review. There will be reasons. People don't deliver a good job and then it's a 1-star review. Have a look at the text. It might be 1-star review. They've done a brilliant job. We would recommend them everywhere. They might just click the wrong button. But worst thing you can do is kick off. The best thing you can do is kill them with kindness by replying to the review in a good, friendly, helpful way. I'm really sorry that you felt like this, but we have delivered a really good job. The reason that it has been delayed or it's overrun is because you added this, you added this, you added this, you added this. At least that way, anybody that is looking at your Google reviews can see that there are two sides to the argument. And that's what it is. Just be logical. Don't kick off. Don't tell loads of people. Understand why that review has been left. And number two, reply in kindness and thank them for their time. So if any of that resonates with you, you need our construction support service. It's a 10-step guide, straight talking, no fluff, on how to deliver and set up your construction project correctly so none of this stuff happens to you. You can click the link below or you can click the link tree in our bio in order to get access to the 10-step guide. Alternatively, log onto our website. Our email will be below. If you do want to send us an email with any queries you've got, we will be able to help you.